Now I would like to invite Dr. Jayarani Kamaraj ma'am also to join the chair. Madam is a senior consultant of reproductive medicine and director Akash Fertility Center and Hospital, Chennai. Madam is a president Oxy and treasurer of Tapisar. Madam is an associate secretary, World Association for Sexual Health Advisory Council member, World Association for Sexual Health. Madam has won a lot of medals and awards. She won the best doctor award by Dr. MGR Medical University, Chennai, and she was awarded the Women of the Year 2010 by the Lions Club. She won the Women Achiever Award, Nalam Hospital in 2011, Best Paper Award for Sexual Dysfunction in PCOS Infertile Women, AOFS 2016 in South Korea. Welcome you, Madam.
அனைவருக்கும் காலை வணக்கம். Thank you, dear, for that wonderful introduction. It gives me a great pleasure and honor here to be here. Thank you, Aruna, for inviting me for this session to chair and to introduce a very dynamic and a very vision-working women in Foxy, who is the President-elect Dr. Sunita Dandalwakar. She is a woman with a lot of vision, working a lot of newer treatment and the latest interventions in the fertility, and she has been a very senior fertility specialist in our fertility practice. A woman with lot of vision and lot of energy and lot of knowledge and very great expertise in the field of infertility. She is the present consultant of the Department of OBGYN in the Clinical and IVF Endoscopy Center in Rubin Hall in Pune, and she is the author and the senior consultant of many awards heard, and she is the president-elect of Foxy 25, and she is the founder of the Solo Clinic IVF, a center of excellence in infertility in Pune, and she has a lot of extraordinary achievements. India's first stem cell baby, world's first women at the age of 45, whom she delivered in 16th April 2018, and founded the world's first Society of Ovarian Rejuvenation in 23. And she is the founder president of Society of Ovarian Rejuvenation 2023, and the chairperson of the founder and honorary secretary of ESAR, and the second vice president of ESAR and the president of IAG between 2019 and 20. Madam had authored many books, more than 6 books, and had a lot of publications to her credentials, and she has been an invited faculty for more than 500 national and international conferences, and you know pretty well her knowledge and her efficiency, what she shares in a WhatsApp group, which is very much appreciated by all our people from our South society, and everybody know about her dynamicity and her knowledgeable work and her lot of research in the field of fertility and endoscopy. And it gives me a great pleasure to welcome and introduce her to this audience of Foxy. She could not able to fly from Mumbai because of the weather. Sunita, welcome you all. Sunita, can you hear me?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I can very well hear you.
Thank you for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much. And I'm really missing you. I'm really missing Chennai. Chennai is so close to my heart. I saw when the video was moving, apart from beautiful smiling chairpersons, I saw Anjalakshmi madam also sitting in the audience. You all, Jayarani, you all have helped me, supported me. So Sampath Kumari Palan has become my vice president. So I'm so thankful to all of you, and it's my loss that physically I'm not with you. But I know emotionally I'm connected with you all so much. I love you all, Chennai, and I'll give a talk in such a way that you will enjoy, and you will not feel that we are on Zoom meeting, because we are doing so many advances. It's not just the PRP or the stem cells I'm going to talk about. I'll be talking about the new first concept of PRF today. So let me not waste time. And Aruna, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be with you all. Love you, dear. You are amazing the way you were organizing, the way you were conducting the entire program, that I'm absolutely amazed why it is not getting shared. Some new tool has come, they are saying. 1 minute. So let me start with the academic, so that I heard in a previous talk the way academic discussion was going on was fantabulous. But one of the answer, I must say, Aruna, were all above. Probably I would have also answered all above, because it definitely helps me to find the reason. If there is some genetic abnormality, I will be doing that PGD or PGS, and I will correct the next embryo not carrying the same genetic. So it helps me in correction also of the anomaly, genetic anomaly, if possible, and if it is there. So all the answers were, even I would have given all of the above. It doesn't just give me a diagnosis. If it is only diagnosis, I may not do it. I need that this should not be repeated in my next pregnancy. And that's why I will be doing. I'm sorry, but I felt the audience gave a right answer. Going to my topic. Why this has come? Have I shared the right skin? Are you seeing my
Yeah.
mom?
Yes, you are, but it should be in it is actually the slide, it's not in the slideshow.
I'm coming. I'm
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
with that. I'm preparing 2-3 lectures, so I thought which I open. So anytime I give a lecture on a stem cell, I like to dedicate this lecture to my mom. To save her life, in 2015, I entered in stem cell. Let me be honest, I did not enter because I'm an ART consultant or an endoscopic or an obstetrician, because it's a too vast a topic to understand. But to regenerate her kidneys, control her diabetes, I entered in a stem cells, and that has given me a huge journey entering into infertility field also. So friends, advances in science is always for the betterment of a human being. And in science, the important thing is to modify and change one's idea as the science progresses, advances. So, will stem cell therapy revolutionize the treatment of a female infertility? Friends, mind is like a parachute, it doesn't work unless it's open. So, listen to me with the open mind, adopt. I want many more people to enter into stem cell and help to do a larger study, so that we can rock in the country. So, what are stem cells? Now, these stem cells are nothing but the cells from where every organ in the body is produced. There are 200 types of cells in the body: dendritic cells, cartilage, fibroblasts, skin cells, so many cells. All cells are produced by stem cell. So, stem cell has a function: either it replicates into another stem cell, or it enter in a path of making one of the cell, for example, neuron. Then it becomes irreversible. Once it entered into the position of becoming one particular cell, then it becomes an irreversible procedure. So there are unspecialized cells. They have a capacity to renew themselves through cell division, sometimes after a long period of inactivity. This word is very important, because what we are doing, ovarian regeneration, there are stem cells may be present in the ovary, but they are inactive. The primordial follicles also be present, but we can stimulate even intra-ovarian stem cell. So if you really go and see many more publications, they have come up now that you can form even the tissue. They have formed trachea. They are producing now liver in the lab. So we can use them in a azoospermia, decreased ovarian reserve, or refractory. I thought the time will not allow me to speak all. I'll constrain myself only to the ovarian tissue. We all face, even Jairani in her OPD, it's not 10%, we say 15 to 20%, because it's only infertility OPD if the patient are collected. They have decreased ovarian reserve. At the age of 30, getting 0.5 mH is shocking. We don't know the reason. Pollution, electromagnetic waves, the chemicals on the food, stress, so many factors, they come all the time. We are on mobile. They are producing electromagnetic waves and they are affecting our system. There is no doubt. But there are today, we all know that though this is a complex topic, there is a process of ovarian rescue or repotential, and we can think about getting. So, what is this regeneration of ovary in premature ovarian failure, diminished ovarian reserve? How can we do it? I'm going to talk on ABMDSC, that is autologous bone marrow derived stem cells. I have a DCGI permission only for a bone marrow. I just returned from Korea where we are tied up with the adipose tissue. So, adipose tissue also has a huge source, and we can do the PRP, and the third most component, which probably in an infertility world, I will be the first one to introduce, that is PRF. I'm going to come to it also. So, if you see in 2004-5, as early as that, Johnson and other group, they found that you can have a expression of a germline markers. You can stimulate those germline cells and make them produce and primordial follicles by bone marrow derived stem cells. And after that, many more publications. So 2015, when I entered in a stem cell, I was reading about you have a lab. You know now how you can create the stem cells from bone marrow, how you can separate them. You got many facilities to do that, whether it is with the machineries or with the manual method, you know how to do it. Then realize where can we use these stem cells. And when you see these all publication, stem cell as a new agent for a therapy in infertility, ovarian germ cell, unlimited source of a oocyte, there is a considerable evidence. By 2014, they have come to the conclusion. And if you go on a clinicaltrial.com, you will .government site, you will find many people have put up their studies over there. So how do we harness the stem cells? Once we decided, we have to go, we have to treat. So what is most important is, this is my lab. I always have a habit of sitting on my study table with the pen and paper. Try to think how you can do and just implement. So we take from a posterior iliac bone. If you see, from the posterior iliac bone, we take out. So we take from the posterior iliac bone, we aspirate the bone marrow. Now, how much to aspirate? This all, no one was there to teach me. I started aspirating in the beginning only 100 cc, and I realized it's good enough. Then over the period, I realized if I can aspirate, there are young patient, I can take out from their bone marrow even 150 to 200 cc of a bone marrow. I can work, and per cubic ml, I will have a very good. So these are the automated machineries also. So now in 8 years of our technological advances, we have many ways by which we can separate. But this was in the beginning, I used to do with these machineries, and it is automated, computerized, non-touch technique, and the stem cells will get separated in one compartment. Now I got a method by which I can take out more potential. So this is how you should start thinking, this is the ovary, can I put it? Then you need to read, where are these primordial follicles? The quiescent one, they are sleeping. So they are under the cortical area. So you need to go and put them inside. So if you see, this is how we started thinking, can I go here in the center, or can I go in the periphery and I stimulate? What I need in return is lot of follicles undergoing spontaneous ovulation. So what is our own experience at Solo Stem Cells? One important thing I need to tell you is, when I read the publication, many people used to allow them to conceive naturally. Now, I was not aware how long these stem cells work, and that's why taking them in for a IVF was more important. Now, if I have to take them for a IVF, when should I take it? After 4 weeks of therapy, after 8 weeks of therapy, we were just, following it. But now we have a very standardized protocols with us about stem cells, when we repeat it, what we do, everything is now standardized. So our first experience at Solo Stem Cells was the first in world's first baby at the age of 45. You are all aware it is India's first stem cell on 16th April. This April 24, we will be celebrating her 6 years completion. So this is the review article which Human Reproductive Sciences asked me to write, and I need to thank them because when we read, everyone's inclusion criteria till that time was to up to the age of 40. Actually, as such, the first baby is from Egypt in 2015. But at the age of 45, no one has tried. And by now, I have many people who have given my citation of this or our next publication saying, so you feel good that internationally you are being cited. Now, the most important thing was whatever the publication I read, they were doing transvaginal. Even today, I do laparoscopic, probably the favored choice, because these ovaries are very small, atrophic ovaries, and it's very, very difficult to fix them as against the stimulated ovary when we do the oocyte pickup. Secondly, is there may be many more bowel lobes. And thirdly, I wanted to go in a subcortical zone. Now we don't do like this. Over the period, we came out, we did many ways of making various instruments we designed, like a forceps with the needle coming straight from the center. But now we have our specialized needle. We have our technique which has been absolutely standardized, and we follow that. So stem cell may pave the need for this. Friends, challenges are what make life interesting. Overcoming them is what makes it meaningful. Our further experience was 20 cases pilot study. If you see from the day 1, 2015, when I did my mom as my first case, we always combined stem cells with PRP. Now, why with PRP? Because the platelet-rich plasma has the growth factors, interleukins and all. They stimulate even these stem cells. And that's where the advantage comes, is they can stimulate these stem cells to exponentiate their work, plus intraovarian stem cells also may get stimulated with this. And that's why our whole work, this we did from 2017 to 2019. 2019 we submitted, and 2020. Why I'm saying 2017? There is a reason for it. I'll come to it. So we did this 2-year study of 20 cases. Our aim was just to see the safety first and then the efficacy. And what we found was it was very safe, not a single patient complication. The only complication was it may not work. So in our study, we got result only in 65%. In 35%, we did not got the result. So we were still in dark. Why? Our darkness to knowledge, slowly we are progressing with our own 8 years experience, but still we don't know exactly when the effect will be seen. I have injected today, maybe after 6 weeks I repeated because I did not find good AFI. Then when should I expect? And then once the stimulation happen, how long this result will be there? So am I supposed to do IVF, or am I supposed to tell them if everything is normal, her semen is normal, the couple semen factor is normal, the tubes are open, cavity is normal, there is no other pathology you are suspecting other than premature ovarian failure or severely decreased AMH? Is that the reason you are supposed to give them a natural try? I don't know still the reason. But our 35% of the patient who did not conceive, you can't keep on doing repeated IVF, right? It is expensive. So we told them, listen, you started ovulating, you got a now good response. So probably you may think of trying naturally. So we explain her how natural pregnancy happen, when to keep the time relationship, and two patients conceived, one after 18 months and one after 22 months. That is nearly after end of a second year. And then these were our India's first two spontaneous conception after the autologous bone marrow derived stem cells for ovarian regeneration. Why I felt this is very important to publish? Because what I learn is by the publications of others. We don't have a huge knowledge about the stem cell. Scientists have a knowledge, they don't have patient, we have patient, we don't have knowledge. So I thought people should know. And by now, I have several patients whom I have done in 2018. I gave them a baby and now they came spontaneous conception and they had their second natural pregnancy. It means the ovarian rescue can go for a longer period, and that's why we presented this paper. PRP, the first paper, we all know, if you do the laparoscopy to any lady, suppose in mid-ovulatory period or anywhere, you don't find adhesion. Every month you ovulate, the follicle come on the ovarian surface, it ruptures. When it ruptures, 10 cc of blood goes in the abdominal cavity, peritoneal cavity, which get absorbed, but there is always a temporary raw area on that ovarian surface. You can see sometimes you have done a laparoscopy for some reason during the peri-ovulatory period. You have seen maybe patient had a torsion of the fallopian tube. You see that beautiful, it occupies more than 1.8 centimeter, 2 centimeter of a ovarian surface where the follicle come up and it ruptures. So how the healing happens? We never find adhesions to these ovaries. So the healing happen because when the blood come there, the platelet rich plasma it secretes lot of growth factors, the interleukins, and they cause activation of the fibroblast. This is very important. And then they cause a tissue repair over there. So we all understood the power of PRP, and that's where intraovarian PRP came in the picture, and you can inject and you can make it. When autologous PRP, activated PRP is injected in the human ovarian tissue, it may give it. And in 2018 and 2020, कौन है यहाँ 5 मिनट के बाद आना please? 2018 and 2020, they have done the publications. So why I'm saying 2018? Because we started working in 2017 when we used to take a platelet-rich plasma along with autologous bone marrow, and we used to do it, but we never thought of using only PRP, and these publications have come out. Now, what is their biggest concern? There were many unclear puzzles along with this. One, PRP effect on the ovary is less known. For the stem cells, they have taken out and worked on a mice. So third phase trial, which is to be done on animals, is completely done, and now 20 years they know there were no side effects. But here we have the fear that this activated PRP, if they are stimulating the stem cells, are they going to trigger, even stimulate the tumorigenic, and there will be a malignant transformation? Friends, don't do PRP left and right. You may land up your patient 10 years down, 20 years down in an ovarian malignancy, and she can come and fire you back. So don't get emotionally. You talk to patient, explain her, we don't know long-term result. Still you wish to do for the sake of getting a baby, please do. But she needs to give you audio-video consent of that, written consent of that. It's very important. Save yourself. But as of now, in last 7-8 years, they did not find any other complication. And these are the patients they were. Now, we have moved for a PRF, that is platelet-rich fibrin. So I'm going to explain you what is in 5 minutes. When we collect the PRP, we take a anticoagulant, heparin in a syringe, because we don't want blood to be collected. Now, who works? It is the fibrin which works. Now, the fibrin is formed with the clot. Now, if you are putting anticoagulant and you are collecting the blood sample, then the fibrin clot will not form, and then these growth factors and all will not get released. So when this knowledge came in, the people have moved to PRF. Believe me, it's very difficult to do PRF because one, the blood while collecting only 20 cc, it can undergo clotting. We all know when they come across with the oxygen, there will be immediate blood clot formation. So you have to be very fast. You have to start your centrifugation very fast. That there are different type of centrifuges, different types of tubes, and different type of methods. Now, once you form it while aspirating, if you are not fast, in fraction of second, it opens to the air, it will form the clot. So the orthopedicians or the diabetologists can form a beautiful platelet-rich fibrin clot and apply on a diabetic foot, and miraculous results happen. You can avoid amputations. But this is I call it as a second generation PRP. So platelet-rich fibrin, we have done the studies which is ongoing, and we will be shortly publishing it, where we have taken the patient in one ovary, we have injected the PRF, and in the other ovary we injected the PRP. I was going through the election, I was traveling, so we were doing the cases, we collected the data, and now we are compiling the results of it. We want the genuine results so that we can guide the, or because I don't see any such publications coming in. But believe me, it is not going to be replicated very fast because it's very difficult to get the PRF. It undergoes clotting, and you can't keep on collecting the blood from the lady again and again. She will feel you don't know how to do the PRF. So this PRF, probably what we found, what's its advantage? There's no anticoagulant. So you allow the fibrin clot. All those growth factors and interleukins are coming from the fibrin clot. Second, its duration of action. The PRP works only for 24 hours, while PRF, once they release, they keep on releasing for 7 days. So your duration of action is longer. We are doing not only intraovarian, but we are doing endometrial. Believe me, the amount of vascularity we see is unbelievable. So it's fantastic. Endometrium, we can see the result instantly within 2 days, 3 days. While with the ovaries, you need to study. So this is more potent than the PRP. So ovarian regeneration and the endometrial, refractory endometrium, these are the two fields where we are doing PRF. So I sometimes feel delving into the world of stem cells for me is more than scientific exploration. It brings tranquility to my work, akin to meditation. I know, I sometimes feel good that I am doing so much work on stem cells, on the PRP, now entering into the PRF. We did first PRP, we were the one in 2017 giving 68 cases for a refractory endometrium. We have been cited hugely for that. Then we came out with our stem cell baby in 2018, and now we are coming out with our PRF publications. So we have done pioneering work, and I feel everyone should do something. You have to, we all are not eternal. We are going to leave this world. I'm 60. I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, when we will leave, but you should keep your footprints on this earth before you leave. Do something which is out of the box, and that will happen when we keep on thinking about the patient again and again and again. Look at the advances in technology that happen. Just now you heard such a fantastic lecture where karyotyping, we moved on to the microarray, and I am sure gene sequencing, if becomes cheaper, it may be applicable more widely. I think today the restriction is more because of the cost of the therapy also. And because I feel the stem cells have given me my mom for 7 years. She lived, I lost her in 2022. It means these stem cells have given me a lot, and I need to give back to the stem cells. I definitely feel the stem cells will be the future. Stem cells and gene therapy will change the way we practice the medicine today. And that is where the Society of Ovarian Regeneration, now our legal formalities are open all over. We registered our things. There are so many restrictions while doing a registration, but we overcome in, and probably will be opening to all of you to become a member, join hands to do a lot of research work for ovarian regeneration. And one more, which I already and always say, choosing the path less chosen makes all the difference in a life. We have been given one beautiful life. We have been in a medical field, we can do miracles. We need to just think about it and always remember one thing. Science is not only compatible with spirituality, it is a profound source of spirituality. Take the blessings of universe all the time with you. I don't think it is we, it is the universe, it is the power of God which works through you. And God will work perfectly provided you allow the God to work for you. You take out all inhibitions, you take out all negative energy, and keep on asking yourself, when was the last time you did something for the first time? And the innovations will come. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunita, for this very inspirational and very energetic vision of yours. Definitely, you are throwing a lot of insight, and you have started a life for the women who want to have their own genetic babies in this era of the ART law 2022, where we are going down with the difficulties of the donor program, lot of restrictions, and women taking up their fertility as the last one, taking the career as a priority and taking the fertility in the last way. We have to find out very many innovations, as you rightly pointed out, to bring women to have her own genetic baby. And definitely you are the pioneer and you are the leading scientist in India to create such a wonderful science in fertility. Thank you so much for sharing all your inputs on the PRP as well as stem cell. Definitely many of the young gynecologists here will be working on this and taking this initiation into the greater heights to bring the humanity, as you rightly said. Whatever we do, it is nothing can reach without God's blessing. And definitely everyone's vision will be blessed with God and will reach a highest way to get the human into the greatest heights with their own potentiality, as you rightly pointed out. Thank you so much for joining us, and we are open to questions. Sunita, I have only one question for you. So is there any criteria, the Poseidon criteria, you said that they are the criteria which you take for your rejuvenation, but is there any other criteria, like where they have a very small ovaries but still young women, very small ovaries? Sometimes we find it very difficult, especially the streak ovaries or women with some few oocytes. What is your experience? You had in your case anything like this which has improved with your PRP or your platelet fibrin? All these things, I want your words, right?
Okay, so first thing is, when you get these young patients with absolutely gone AMH and decreased reserve drastically, first thing I do is I do their genetic study. If they turn out to be Fragile X syndrome or Turner-Mosaic abnormal, you cannot recreate their ovaries. So genetic study is a must even before you take the patient for PRP or stem cells. Number one. Number two, I don't take the patients above the age of 38, 40 much, because these ovaries don't respond. That 45 was, my first case was, she was a scientist from Dubai. She was a single mom, and she said, if I don't have my own egg, I'm going to take a donor sperm, Sunita. So I know that I'm putting myself into as a guinea pig, as a trial for you, but I'm ready for it, because otherwise I'll just go for adoption. There's no point in taking a donor egg and donor sperm and just my womb is there to carry. I don't want to do that. So you keep on trying. If we don't succeed, then I'll go for an adoption. So otherwise, above 40, I don't take. But those patients where I can see 1 to at least follicle, that is decrease reserve drastically, 0.2 mH, but 1 to follicles, I know probably they will be responding. But when they are very small atrophic streak ovaries, the ovarian volume is so less. I sit with them and I explain them, probably this is not going to work. Now, these patients I take only when they say that I'm not going to go for an egg donation. If my ovaries don't, I will accept it and I will live without the child. Then only I take those patients. But you know what? Sometimes it is very difficult. That's why still it is called under research. ICMR has not given a blanket permission. I'm always so scared and worried for the ART centers who are doing left and right. कोई autologous bone marrow कर रहा है, कोई PRP कर रहा है. Where is the permission? One day ICMR can come and close down you, you know. That is why I went with DCGI, because ICMR was not responding to me at is it's very important that forget why I say sometimes I explain the patient, no better, you will not get the result, please move on in life. First thing always is I explain them not to go for steps because I don't know whether I'll give result. But sometimes surprisingly they were like 1.5 centimeter by 1.5 centimeter ovary with 1-2 follicle, and I get to see 7-8 follicles. And sometimes I have a large volume, only stroma, and I don't get it. But the cases of endometriosis, the cases of tuberculosis are strictly contraindicated in my practice. I don't take those cases. You may flare up, you may cause ovarian abscesses, and I don't take those cases. They are strictly. We all know tuberculosis can cause tuberculous oophorytis and decrease reserve. But I don't take tuberculosis, endometriosis, very elderly age group, or genetic abnormality, and that's why premature ovarian failures.
Excuse me, madam, I am Dr. Aruna here.
Yeah, Aruna. Can I have a cameraman focusing on Aruna? Aruna, thank you so much, and I sincerely apologize because I don't like, I'm a very, person who is committed all the time. But some unfortunate situation, but that's okay.
We miss you on the physical presence, but anyway, I have a question for you, madam. Do you culture the mesenchymal stem cells that you get from the bone marrow and use it for the second sitting? And there is also so much of representatives and studies going on umbilical cord mesenchymal stem cells that has been cultured, and instead of taking the bone marrow, we can take umbilical cord stem cells and do. These two are the questions. Whether we culture the bone marrow stem cells.
Thank you, Aruna. I understand.
Thank you, Aruna. Sunita, one more thing also I want to ask you. I add on to it. What is your experience? Have anything experience about exomes? Because exomes are the one which are going to be the future.
We are entering into that field of exomes.
So I got all the inputs of yours.
So maybe 1 year down the line, I'll be talking about it little more. We are entering into that field. Coming to Aruna's question, whether we do the mesenchymal culture, yes, we do have a Hera cell incubators in our stem cell lab. Can the camera focus to Aruna, please? So it becomes, easy for me to talk eye to eye. So yes, we do culture, but I'm not using them because I don't have official permission. See, I'm very strict when it comes to the ethics of the practice. I don't have a permission, I can't use it, but we have by now, I have so many scientists with me and we are growing, and it's beautiful. It's a very simple way. I do know certain people who are exporting outside India because India don't have this thing. Now coming to the umbilical cord stem cells, we don't have a permission of it at all. The orthopedicians, there are centers where they are taking this, and they are totipotent cells. You can grow them to any organ you want. Orthopedicians are using it left and right into intra-articular. There is a one big company, but there is so much objection because they have done only 70 cases study and ICMR gave them a permission. Well, there are many government colleges where huge work is going on, but ICMR is shutting them down. So we have reached to the health ministry and we had a huge Zoom meeting with them, and probably one day we may get. But as of now, I don't have a permission of it. Otherwise, it would have been so simpler and easier because daily we are delivering the patient. For us, the source, getting an umbilical cord is also, I can take a consent of my patient. I'm taking your membrane, I'm taking your cord, and can you give? She will say, otherwise also it is going in a crusher. So probably you use it and do some de novo work. But we don't have a permission for it, and I don't think I can do it without permission.
Thanks a lot, madam. Thanks a lot for your presence, and you made it very lively. Thank you. I think everybody will be rejuvenated with your session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Anjalakshi madam, I'm seeing you in the audience. Love you to the core. Thank you. I'm missing Sampath. Anytime I see Chennai, I need to see Sampath. Yes, ma'am. Hello. The cameraman has focused to them. And Palani, give my regards to all of you and definitely promise to come to Chennai. Thank you.
And we also take the opinion poll, and I think all of the above should be the answer, because we can do a PGT-SR and give a live birth also increased chance. So we sincerely apologize for that decision, but we also came to a conclusion that it should be all of the above, because just a line cannot be taken for answer. Thank you.
I felt that. Thank you for this.